we were looking at this car for my wife's collection, and when I was showing you the inside to show you that magnet configuration, what happened was the body was really tethered to the chassis with the wires for the bulbs. And eventually, I was handling a lot, and one of them came loose. So I cut the other one loose, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do there as a solution, a mechanical solution to make that easier, where I could just, I'm gonna use a quick disconnect where I could just pull this aside and then work on the chassis. We're gonna do a little bit of mechanical work on this, and I'm gonna show you guys some stuff on this. But I think also in the future, we're gonna take cars out of the boxes and just clean them up and then maybe replace parts. Like if I was gonna do that on this car, I would put new front tires. These are, like I said, I think these would turn the other way and they were scraping on this part here. So, I would do that, clean it up, take all the parts off, clean up all the grease off of it. This is very heavily worn and stuff. So it's pretty cool too, though, that it's like got a lot of character to it, So we're just going to do some mechanical stuff on this one. But the first thing that needs to be done is we need to put in the little tiny connector. So these work out really well, and I've been using them a lot. I guess I bought these and found these after I did this. This car, like I said, I did, probably 20 years ago and stuff. So, these are something. So I bought them at Micromark, but I also bought them at Amazon, and I got more at Amazon more than I'll ever use. Like this is like 5 strips, I think, 5 pairs of strips, and this is like a half a strip. So you take an X-Acto knife and you cut off what you need. For this one, I just cut off 2, positive and negative, and I'll connect it to the yellow wire that was there. So these are bulbs. I bought these probably at the train store. When I would go to hobby stores, I'd look around and see what else I could, what I could repurpose. Looks like I put in my own styrene pieces here. There was a piece that was in there, but I'm not sure why I put styrene in. I use shrink tubing to guide the wire where I want it to go. So that's just like a little dab of CA glue, super glue, and those hold on, and I run it through. So I'll do the connector to here, and then I needed some more wire, and what I use for wire is this 30 gauge is what I was doing a lot of heavy wiring with the soundboards, and in that Adam 12 car, I really needed some good wire. So what this is single strand wire. So it's very good. It's very strong. And I got it off of a company, I think it's called Lighthouse, and I'll definitely put the link in the description. And I got all these different colors. You know how I like to play with the colors to match the car. Here I need yellow, and I'm going to use this. I'm not going to replace the wire on the bulbs. That would be a pain in the neck. I'm going to keep the existing wire, which is stranded, but I already soldered those ends up. I'm not going to, like I say, show the soldering on here because I'm not really that good at it, and it takes me a while. So this is really good. Now, what I also bought was from Amazon, and I'll put the link for that, a really good wire stripper. So this is what I use to wire up like that Adam 12 car. That is just so much stuff going in there. Switches and, front lights, back lights, flashing lights, the soundboard, so this is the wire I'll use. And then I use shrink tubing, and I have different sizes for that. I'm using for this size the 0.075. And when I'm all done with that connection, I'll show you guys. The other thing that's pretty cool in here, and I'm going to do a separate video, is these sleeves. Like, so when these things cracked. So in the beginning, I guess I wasn't too good with these. Maybe I wasn't putting the screws back in the right place. I don't know, but a lot of them crack. So I have these sleeves. I try to find quickly the sizes for this, but I couldn't find it easily. But really what I bought a lot of the sleeving was for the axles, the wheels on the axles that would crack. You could see a crack right there. But it looks like it's on pretty good. I obviously took these off because this little washer here is from me. But you can see how grimy this is. But like this is just a mechanical fix-up. But if I was doing a refurbish, I would put on a new axle, new wheels. I mean, I could replace the whole car. But anyway, so we're going to keep it true to its, its track worthiness and its, provenance of being on the track a lot, obviously. And this is the other thing I wanted to show you. This is when the wires came loose. I was trying to show this, and I couldn't show it too well. It's the adjustable magnet system I came up with. So this is a pod from Fly that they put in a lot of the chassis. and they had it in this car. This is a Joest Porsche. They had it in some of the Porsche, I think they were called GT 198 Porsches. Different Porsches had them. A lot of the classic cars had them. So what I did was there was a big magnet in here, and what I did was I attached a nylon nut. You could see it right there, and I believe that's a 440 size. And then I used a nylon bolt, and I just got a good look at this because the magnet fell out. It's on the other side. I'm like, how's that holding on well? Did I do styrene? No, what I did was another piece of a nut that I used, and I threaded it on a little bit to give it like some good opportunity to stay attached to the bolt. But the magnet didn't stay attached. A replacement magnet. I have a brand new, well, a nice clean one. And then we'll glue that in flush with the bottom of the chassis. We were doing this. I talked about it in Eastern Pennsylvania when I raced with those guys. They were doing a lot of crazy stuff with magnets, and they had drilled holes in it. They would drill a hole in the motor and shoot lighter fluid in, and they would burn out motors and all kinds of things with magnets. And their cars were a mess with glue. They just had glue all over their fingers. They're like, let me fix your car. I'm like, no. I don't like getting my car, but they were like that, but it was fun. I had a fun time there. All right, so I'm going to put I'm going to put this back into place. I'm going to put on the connector, and I think that's it. And I'll show you guys when it's all set up. 1 hour and 15 minutes later. It's about that, but I was doing some other things and I was texting. So, about an hour, maybe a little bit less, but I got the white car all spiffed up, but I wanted to show you some things I used to do what I did, and I'll show you some of the products. So I used this. This was very helpful when I was soldering in that micro connector and stuff. So this helped me hold the connector while I was soldering and stuff. So this is a handy thing you could pick up on Amazon. I think I originally got this one at Radio Shack. And what I did was I used shrink tubing to make these little pieces to put on because it has alligator teeth. They're pretty, they can mar plastic. So if I'm putting a plastic part in there. So that was very handy with the soldering. What I did was I used Ronson lighter fluid. I keep a lot of this handy. And with a stiff nylon bristle brush, and I cleaned up the gear, and I reapplied the lube to the gear, to the spur gear, the sidewinder gear. So that was good. I had talked about, the fly chassis possibly cracking because I didn't have the right oil. I did have this oil on hand. I just didn't realize that I have a box of new product, and I found this in there. So it looks pretty good. It's from Trinity. They're an RC company. Let's see what it is. Perpetual motion, and it says for ball bearings, right? For super light qualifying ball bearing oil. And the only thing is it doesn't seem to be a lot in there. I don't know if it's really expensive or some of it evaporated. For the braid, instead of using the voodoo juice like I did last time, I used this. It said you could use this for the braid. So I used that with a Q-tip. I cleaned up the braid a little bit. And then what else? For the magnet, I used this super glue. These little containers are good because the glue hardens up a lot and stuff, so the little container is probably a little bit more efficient. Now, I glued this on, and we'll take a look at that. But let's see. So the micro connector's right there. So, I could easily look inside the car and show you guys everything now. So I cleaned it up a little bit. Oh, there's a little oil in there. I reapplied lube here. I oiled up the bearings and the motor. I connected the micro connector. It seems like with this micro connector and the regular bulbs rather than LEDs, it doesn't matter. It could connect in either way and it'll still work, or you could apply the battery either way. But, it looks pretty good. All right, let's take a look at the magnet lowering system. So the magnet's fully in now. The nice newer applied magnet without it peeling, and it's almost flush with the secondary part of the chassis, not this pod, and that's because I use like a ground down nut as a way of contact, like a contact patch to glue this onto. So it's gonna, it's got a little extra in there. So, but that's a good height, and then you could just take this. A screwdriver flathead. Now it's a little snug, but yeah, I got it now. It's got like a little tight area there, but I turned it a few times, and you could see you could bring that out more. You know, you wouldn't go out too much more than that, but it was a good little system. Like I said, I never used it in a race, but see, that might be perfect. You don't want to go too low because it's going to hit the rails. If you have it too low, you're going to create a lot of drag, and the car's going to drag. So to get that right height, but you know, interesting. You know, SCH did something like that with their magnets, but this is something I just came up with on my own. So here's the micro connector. Let's connect that, and then we just place this on top. Whoops. This uses 5 screws, a lot of screws. So, and before I screw it, I'll set that all the way back down. But let's just see that the micro connector is working, and it is. So like with the bulbs, it doesn't seem to matter the polarity. Like if that was an LED, it's only going to work with a certain polarity, but it looks like the bulbs could work either way. So the switch, it doesn't matter, I guess, on the switch either. So usually what I would do is when I have the switch plugged in the right way, I'll just paint a little paint, a red paint or white paint on each side, so I know which way to plug it in. But it doesn't seem to be an issue here. So that came out pretty good. It's cleaned up a little bit. It's got the magnet put back in, a good magnet. What else? We put the micro connector in, so next time we work on it, we could easily take the chassis away from the body and work on it, or work if we're going to work on the body. I cleaned up the body a little bit, and so that's just a couple little things I did on this car. So it's, you know, it's coming back to like a refurbisher. One more thing I wanted to talk about this wire. So this is the thin wire I bought, the 30 gauge, and it's single strand. You can really position it well when it's wire like this. So I could put this really where I want it, and it'll stay there. So really good. It's really good. It's strong enough. It's very thin, so you could use it inside a small car, and it's very positionable. So, you know, you would never use something like this for lead wire. You want a nice flexible silicone wire for that. Okay, I'm at the track with my wife's white Joest Porsche, the LeMans winner from 1977, I believe. So I have the magnet all the way up, but it's still lower than it usually would be. Let's see how it does. It's got the lights. Performing well. You can see when there's a magnet in the car, there's no drift. So the thing is, when it breaks loose from the track, it really goes flying. But when there's a drift, you can see the car starting to drift, and you catch it, and you have, you know, very simple D-slots, and you keep it in the slot easier. But this is, I don't think you would drop that magnet really anymore. But it's running pretty good. The lights look good. So it's a little light bulb, so a little yellow. All right, thanks for watching.